Hi, Mick McQuaid here to talk to you about individual select statements in SQL. And this is because some people were having trouble following the Stan Gunn videos because they make reference to the Azure Lab and MySQL, and we're not using those. So this is pure SQLite3. So I'm in a Scratchpad file. This is scratchpad.sql. This is in the SQLite examples folder. And I'm going to do this part starting with line 17. We've already looked at some of this other stuff. I think we've looked at some of this other stuff. In any event, you can look at the other stuff if you want to. But these individual selects correspond to the ones in Stan Gunn's video, more or less. I have a few additions. So the first thing I'd like you to do if you're in the SQLite examples folder is say rm_library.db. So I'm going to say trash because I use trash instead of rm. Or if you're on Windows, you can say del library.db to get rid of that. And then we're going to say SQLite3 library.db and redirection operator, the less than sign, and then library.sql. And this is going to recreate the library.db file. And now we can say SQLite3 library.db, and we'll be in that database. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is say tables. Now I've got all these written out in the Scratchpad file, so you can copy and paste from this file. I think I can just, let me see if this is working. Yeah, so I have it set up so that I can very easily copy and paste from here into the other terminal window using a package called tslime, which I can't remember whether I got this from Homebrew or not, but it's very handy to have. Speeds things up a lot if I want to go through a lot of these really fast, which actually I don't on this in this particular video. What I'm looking at now is the schema for the library database. It has these tables: authors, book author, book books. Book books is actually a mistake. It should be book formats, and I think we'll fix that during the because it's a junction table between book and formats, books and formats. And we have the books table, the formats table, and the publishers table. And there are actually some other mistakes in here that are intentional so that we can go through the process of correcting mistakes within the database. So we've created all these things. This is different, by the way, quite a bit different from the version that Stan Gunn put on. So in Stan Gunn's case, all the IDs are doubles instead of integers. And I just don't like the way that they display, so I changed them all to integers. And there are a few other little details that are changed for consistency's sake. Okay, now I'm going to say mode table over here, and that's going to make it so that the display looks sort of the way it does in MySQL. And that's not my usual preferred thing, but I'm making this similar to Stan Gunn's video. And then I'm going to take a look at books. Now, of course, I can, so this is the content of the books table, or not the content, the structure, the metadata for the books table. This is equivalent to the describe command in MySQL. And I can do this for any of the other tables and find out what the column names are in the tables. And I can do selects. I can select anything I want from, or select everything, I should say, from the authors table. Select everything from the formats table. Now, it's typical in the workplace that a table might have 1 million or more records, and SQLite3 operates fast, but the screen refresh is not fast. So consequently, if you say select star from a very large table, it will scroll by very slowly, and it will take a very long time to display all the results. So you typically don't want to do that. You typically want to find out the count, which we do here, and we get the count 46, which corresponds to, you can see over here, the last entry is 46. So what we can do is look at all the ones that are less than 11, for instance. So that gives us 1 to 10, and then do all the ones that are between 11 and 20. So that gives us the next 10, and we could keep on doing that to the extent that we want. Why did I select star? I'm going to delete that. The next thing I'm going to do is select the author first name and the author last name. It's typically the case that for the end user, the ID is not important. For the end user, what we want is something like the payload of the table. In this case, the author's first name and last name. But it's not very satisfying to have it like this. So instead, I want to get the author first name and the author last name separated by a space. And in this case, I want it to be ordered by the author last name. So I'm going to do this statement here, which uses something called the concat operator. And the concat operator is this pair of vertical pipe characters followed by a space, or followed by whatever it is that I want to concatenate together. In this case, a space, followed by the pipe characters. And then on either side, I have the two columns that I want to concatenate. And you can see that I've also said as full name. And if we go back to the top of this one, we see that full name is part of this. And I don't know why there's a space here. It may have been a page ending thing. I'm not sure why there's a space there. And I can do the same thing, but I can get just the names that are like Lee, because I have several Lees. C.B. Lee, Mackenzie Lee, and Yun-Ha Lee. And I've ordered these by first name instead of ordering them by last name as I did before, because obviously the last name is all the same, so I've alphabetized them by the first name. See what else we have here. So suppose that I don't know that the last name is spelled Lee. There are other spellings of the name that sounds like Lee. So I might want to get all the ones that start with an L. In this case, there aren't any that look like Lee except for Lee. And the way that I get them is by saying L %, and the % operator is like a wildcard operator. It stands for anything after the L. And I can also do this in descending, so I've done this in ascending order by last name. I can add to the order by clause. The order by clause is what gives us the sort. And I can add to the order by clause the descending clause and get the opposite. So they're ordered alphabetically descending. You typically don't want to do that unless you have reason to expect that you have a lot of output and you're going to really want the things that are at the top of the list. And one way to get the things that are at the top of the list or at the bottom of the list is to do the limit clause. So here I've limited it to 3 results, adding the limit clause onto this. So you can put any of this stuff in. The order in which you put it does matter. And of course, I've formatted it so that no individual line is too long. I don't like to have to read across and possibly have word wrap. So I put the SQL keywords, which I habitually put in lowercase, and that's, you know, in the workplace, you have to follow the convention of your workplace. And it's more frequent than not that SQL keywords are uppercase in workplaces. Okay, so here are a bunch of other select statements. So I'm going to select count just where the title has the word the in it. And there are 17. And then I'm going to do that again, but slightly differently, and I get 26. And the difference is that this selects the at the beginning. And notice that this way of doing it is case insensitive. Down here, I'm going to show you a way that's case sensitive. But this is case insensitive. So this is picking up capital the at the beginning of the book title. And that's all it's picking up. This is picking up the both at the beginning and anywhere in the title. So let's take a look at the titles. So these are the ones that begin with the, and these are the ones that have the in them somewhere. So these are all lowercase thes, all the ones in between, and the case doesn't matter. Now there's a more fine-grained way of doing this called regular expressions. And regular expressions is a whole subject in and of itself. It's usually not taught in school. You're usually expected to pick it up on your own, but it's very complicated, and it would make sense to have a course on regular expressions, except that they're somewhat controversial. Using regular expressions is somewhat controversial. So using it for small things is not controversial, but some people use regular expressions for very large projects, and they are difficult to use for very large projects. So what a regular expression is a pattern that you can match and potentially replace, but it's like find and replace, but it's more sophisticated than that. So here's an example of a regular expression. I've selected title. I've selected title that has the in it, that's following a space, and that is followed by either a capital N or a capital C. And you see I get three results here, 2 with the capital N and 1 with the capital C. So this pair of square brackets is a grouping artifice that accepts any one character within the brackets. Now I can do this differently. This is the regular expression operator. What I have on line 61 is called the regular expression operator, where I have title followed by the keyword regexp followed by the regular expression itself. Line 62, on the other hand, shows the functional form of this same operator. So this is functionally equivalent, but it's using the regexp function instead of the regexp operator. And the regexp function puts parentheses after the expression regex, and then has the regular expression, and then has the name of the column. So these two give equivalent results, which I'll demonstrate now. Now there are lots of other regular expression symbols that you can use. For example, \b is a word boundary. So this will also give the same results on this particular table. However, there are other tables potentially where it would give different results. So this \b just means a word boundary, and a word boundary can be a space, but it could also be, for example, a tab character or a comma or something else, a dot. It could be anything that delimits a word in the mind of the regexp function. And yet another one is \s, which in this case will have the same effect. \s means white space character. So the white space character in this case is a space, but it could again be a tab character or even the enter key. But in this case, it's giving the same results. Now you may wonder about all these special characters. And there are different flavors of regex. Excuse me. In different languages. So pretty much all computer-oriented languages have regular expressions built into them, but they're built in different ways. And let me show you the SQLite way. So SQLite, by default, does not have regular expressions built in, except in the command line utility. So in the command line utility that we're using, it has this built in, regexp.c. So this is a C program that's built in. This is the actual program itself. And it's built into the command line utility. If you use SQLite as a library with some other programming language, this built-in is not automatically compiled. You would have to compile it yourself. Or what's more common, and this is why it's not put in by default, what's more common is to use the regular expression engine for the particular language, the one that's built into, say, Python or Perl or some other language that you're using. Okay, and then these are all comments at the beginning. And this is what I just said about the operator versus the function. And here's the regular expression syntax. So what we did was this right here. Any single character from the set ABC is denoted with square brackets. Any single character that's not in the set ABC is denoted with square brackets with a circumflex or caret in the first position. And here's word boundary that we used. And here's white space character that we used. And then there are all these other things that you can do. And here's some technical details about the program, and then the program itself, which you don't need to know about. The only thing you really need from this page is from this file is this list of things that you can do. X or Y. So X is some pattern of characters. 0 or more occurrences of that pattern, 1 or more occurrences of that pattern, and so on. X is just standing in for that pattern. Okay, so that's all that I wanted to say. Let me go back to this. So this Scratchpad file has various stuff in it, including following stuff. So our next unit is going to be on selecting from multiple tables, and that uses the join clause. And here's more joins. And what is this? Some canned queries. Anyway, I'll potentially add more to this. So rely on the latest version, not the version that you may have downloaded at the beginning of the semester. And for this module, just look at the individual selects part. Thank you for your attention.